So today we are going to study about the powers of the president. As we are already aware that he is the head of the state, head of the government of India. Although he's just a nominal head or just for the name's sake, he's just a ceremonial head. The real powers are in the hands of the prime minister. Yet there are many powers that he still holds. He may not hold as many real powers as the president, but there are various functions he performs and various powers that the president has. So let us see what all those powers are. They are the executive powers, various legislative powers, judicial powers, military, financial, and emergency powers that the president holds. So let us see what all powers does the president has. First, we will be talking about the executive powers. So the first power he has, that he is the one who appoints the leader of the majority party, the lower house, that is the Lok Sabha, as the prime minister. So he is the one who appoints the prime minister. And who gets appointed as the prime minister? Only the majority party, the party which has gained the majority of the votes, whatever political party has gained the majority of votes in the Lok Sabha elections, that will only make the government. From amongst themselves, the winning party decides, okay, we will have this person as the leader, so they will suggest, and it is the president who appoints that leader as the prime minister. Here, important to remember, the president does not decide who will become the prime minister from the winning party, but he will do the official work of appointing him. The appointment which is done, the signature which is done by the prime minister, this official legal work is done by the president. He appoints the leader of the majority party in the Lok Sabha as the prime minister. He does not decide, but he appoints. So this appoints word is very important. It is like a key word. If you write he chooses the leader of your answer gets wrong. No, the president appoints the leader of the majority party in the Lok Sabha as the prime minister. So he's appointed the prime minister. Now he appoints the other ministers on the advice of prime minister. So whatever political party has won the majority of the votes in the Lok Sabha, now that will be forming the government. They will decide amongst themselves. We will have the leader as the prime minister. Like the BJP won the majority votes. They decided, okay, Narendra Modi is going to lead. He'll be the prime minister. So the president will appoint Narendra Modi as the prime minister. Now on the advice of prime minister will tell, okay, from our party, this particular minister, he will be appointed as the minister of this thing. This person will become the minister of this particular department, and so on. But it is the president who appoints the other ministers on the advice of prime minister. So again, president is not choosing, he is not deciding, but he is the one who is going to appoint the other ministers on the advice of the prime minister. So this is very important. These terms, all of them are important. Appoints the other ministers, how? On the advice of the prime minister. Then he also appoints the judges of the Supreme Court and the High Courts. He appoints the governor of the various states, the comptroller and auditor general, the attorney general, the members of the UPSC, that is Union Public Service Commission, and lieutenant governors or the chief commissioners of the various union territories. So all these appointments, they are made only by the president of India. So these are the executive powers. He appointing the leader as the majority party as the prime minister. He will be appointing the other ministers on the advice of the prime minister. He'll be appointing the judges of Supreme Court and High Courts and the governors of various states and all other important people. You might get short question like, who appoints the judges of Supreme Court and the High Courts? So it is the president of India. Who appoints the cabinet ministers? Who appoints the other council of ministers? So you'll be saying it is the president who appoints the ministers on the advice of the prime minister. So each word here is important. Pay attention to the details. Coming next to the legislative powers, what all legislative powers are given to the president? He can summon or prorogue, that is, adjourn a session of the two houses. So if there is a session to be held of the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha, he can summon, that is, he can call them together, okay, now we are going to have a session, or he can prorogue or adjourn, that is, put an end to the session, okay, the session ends here now. So he can summon or prorogue the session of the two houses. Then he can dissolve the Lok Sabha. Again, can he dissolve the Rajya Sabha? No, he cannot dissolve the Rajya Sabha. Why so? We have studied this in the Union Legislature chapter that Rajya Sabha is a permanent house. It never gets dissolved. It is only the Lok Sabha that can be dissolved before the completion of its term. And it is the president who has the power to dissolve the Lok Sabha on the advice of the Prime Minister. Again, students, you have to read the previous chapter thoroughly to understand this one. In civics, everything is interlinked and the details play a very important role. So we see the president has the power to dissolve, he can dissolve the Lok Sabha, but only on the advice of the Prime Minister. Next power, legislative power that he has is he not only, calls or puts an end to the session of the two houses, he can also address the joint session of the parliament. What is meant by joint session? Usually the Lok Sabha session is held separately and the Rajya Sabha sessions are held separately, but at some times situations can demand and both the houses they sit together. That is the joint session. So the president he addresses the joint sessions of the parliament when the two houses Lok Sabha Rajya Sabha are sitting together, and he can also call a joint session of both the houses when there is a deadlock regarding bill. If you remember that we have studied how a law is formed. First, a bill is introduced in either of the house, Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. Then it is passed by majority of the people in that house. Then it goes on to the other house. Then it is passed by majority of people in that house. Then it goes to the president. Then the president signs it, and then it becomes a law. So in case what happens, there is in one house the bill is passed with majority, in the other house the bill is not passed, the majority is against it. So now there is a deadlock. One house is saying it should pass, one house is saying it should not pass. So there is a deadlock. So in that case, the president can call a joint session of both the houses, come together, sit together, deliberate, and then the voting could be done and final decision could be made whether this bill has to be passed or not, whether it should become a law or not. So it is the president who calls the joint session of both the houses when there is a deadlock regarding the bill. The next is that a bill passed by the both the houses become a law only when he signs it. So again, just like we studied, that a bill has to pass by the majority in both the houses and then it goes to the president. Only after the president's signatures have been put, only after this president has signed it, will it become a law. In case the president refuses and say, no, go and make changes in this particular bill, I am not going to sign it. So it will not become a law until the president has signed it. So it is the president who has the power to prevent a bill from becoming a law. So a bill has to be, which is passed by both the houses, has to be signed by the president to become a law. Then the next one is he can issue ordinances when parliament is not in sessions. So sometimes when the parliament is not holding sessions due to whatever reasons, there are sessions not being held, there is discussion not happening in the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and suppose there is a need for a law, there is some disorder come up, or there is a need for a law to immediately come up, but the parliament is not in session. Now who is going to frame the law? So in that case, the president has the special order to issue ordinance. Ordinance is like a temporary law that you can say. So he can issue ordinance. Okay, this is the law for this amount of time, for maximum of 6 months. He can issue a law. Okay, since the parliament is not session, so let this be the law for 6 months and accordingly handle the situation. So he has the power to issue ordinances, which are kind of temporary laws, until the parliament is in session. Now again, this does not mean the president can make anything as a law. He has to follow the course of law, he has to abide by the constitution, and then only he can issue ordinances. But he has the power to issue ordinances when the parliament is not in sessions. So he has these many legislative powers. Then coming to the judicial powers of the president has the power to grant pardon, reduce or suspend the sentence of a person convicted of a crime. So suppose there is a criminal who has been given punishment, a very serious level punishment, or maybe he's been given a death penalty, he should be hanged by death, or he's imprisoned for his life. So in that case, the president, a request can be made to the president, and the president can, pardon, let go of that, that sentence that has been given, that punishment has been given to him. He can reduce or suspend the sentence on certain grounds. So obviously he has the power. If somebody, he can also pardon a death sentence. If somebody has been given a death sentence, they make an appeal or they file a petition requesting the president to grant, to change this punishment and have mercy on them, and let them go of this punishment of death sentence, maybe reduce his punishment to years instead of taking his life. So in such cases, a petition can be filed, a request can be made, and a president has the power to, accept that petition and let go. Like if you are aware, in the latest Nirbhaya case, where these people were given death sentence, they made a request to the president to request, but the president does not accept it because such a heinous crime was committed by them. So it is the choice of president. And there are certain other cases where the president accepts it, okay, that this is considerable, so we can reduce this death sentence to certain years, say life imprisonment. So he can make changes in the punishment only by following the course of law, not just abruptly, but he has this power to pardon or to reduce the sentence. Then he does not have to answer any court of law for his actions unless he is facing impeachment. So if he is indulging in any form of corruption or anything, there's this procedure of impeachment where he gets removed from the office. But the court cannot question him for every activity, for any law that he's making and all. He is, as it is, following the course of law. But in case he's found deviating from that, he cannot get questioned by the court while he's the president of India. If he is found indulging in these things, there is a process. The impeachment will take place. He will be thrown out of the position of president, and then the court can continue with the proceedings. But until then, until the time he's the president, the court cannot question his actions. Okay, so this is the judicial powers that he holds. Coming to the military powers, we have already studied that he's the supreme commander of the defense forces of the armed Indian forces. He's the supreme commander. He is the one who can declare war or conclude peace. So this power rests with the president. He is the supreme commander of the defense forces of the Indian armed forces. So whatever is the situation, the call whether we should declare the war or we should, end this war, this entirely lies with the president of India. So these are his military powers. Talking about the financial powers, we see that the budget is presented in the parliament every year in the name of president. So whatever budget is being presented in the parliament, which happens every year, it is all presented in the name of the president. Then his permission is essential for a money bill to be introduced in Lok Sabha. Now, we have studied about money bill, in case you remember, in the union legislature, that a money bill can be introduced only in Lok Sabha. It cannot be introduced in the Rajya Sabha. It is first introduced in the Lok Sabha, and it is done only after getting the prior permission from the president. So it is the president's permission is very important for a money bill to be introduced in the Lok Sabha. Unless it gets the permission of the president, it cannot be introduced. Then, in case any unexpected expenditure arises, the president can grant an advance from the Consolidated or Contingency Fund of India. So there is this kind of emergency fund in India, Consolidated Fund or Contingency Fund of India, in case there is, unexpected, disaster happens, natural disaster happens, or any emergency situation arises, financial crisis arises, and there is a sudden need for money. In that case, the president, he has the permission that he can grant that an advance, that is, small amount or whatever amount can be taken from this emergency fund, the Consolidated or Contingency Fund of India, to be spent on that unexpected expenditure. This usually happens when there is, sudden need arises due to some flood is there, earthquake has caused a lot of, disruption. So any such kind of emergency has arisen where there is a need for, funds. So in that case, it is the president who can grant an advance from this consolidated or contingency. Otherwise, these ministers, they will go and just write up an excuse and draw money from these emergency funds. No, it is only when the president will assess the situation, okay, it is a sudden, unexpected, and absolutely required expenditure, only then he will allow that to be taken from the fund, and should happen in the interests of the people only. So these are his financial powers. Talking about the emergency powers, the president has the power to declare emergency under these conditions. We know that an emergency can be declared in our country only by the president. It is the president who has the power to declare emergency. And in what conditions can these emergency be declared? If there is a war or there is internal aggression. So if there is, internal crisis, a civil war happening, that is civil war. We know what is civil war when it is happening within a country itself, between different segments of the country, different states or different parts of the country within the country itself. Or when there is an external war, some other country declares war on a country, or there is any civil war happening. In that case, the president can declare emergency. So first is war or internal aggression. Second is financial crisis or financial instability in the country. In case there is a absolute financial crisis in the country, in that case, a financial emergency can be declared by the president. Then the third condition is breakdown of constitutional or government machinery in a state. Then president takes charge of that working of the state. This is known as president's rule. In case in a state there is a lot of chaos, the government has lost confidence of the people, the government has lost power, it has fallen down, and there is no administrative machinery to to look after the functioning of that state. In that case, the president will take over the rule over that state, and it will come under the president's rule until next government is formed in that state, voting is done, party comes to power, or gets the majority and forms the government. Until then, it will come under the rule of the president. He will look after the functioning of that particular state. So in case of the breakdown of government machinery or the constitutional machinery in any state, the president, he can take over the charge of the working. He can declare it an emergency in that state, take over the charge, and that will be known as the president's rule until the government comes to power in that state. So these are the emergency powers. You have to know what are the conditions in which president can declare emergency: war or civil war or internal aggression, financial crisis, or breakdown of government machinery in a state. So these are the emergency powers that the president holds.